Hey my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. And of course, my favorite coffee mug, which is the logo of my channel. No, girl can never have too much coffee. Especially since I don't put Kahlua in it anymore. I doubled up on the coffee. Anywho, it is, God, I always forget what day it is. It's Tuesday, September 22nd, 11:45 in the morning. I always like to just skip the timestamp so you see what the real time is, time and date. Anyway, so if you've seen my previous videos, which hopefully you have, there's 3 different ones that I've done that I sort of wanted to updates. So I'm going to call this one Life Updates. And the 3 different topics were like mental state, and then also like I did one on like the gym, and then one on content creation. So I want to hit on those 3 things again in this one video versus doing 3 separate ones. So, you know, it was still into this whole COVID-19. It's been 6 months. And I've said this before where like, you know, it's your mental state of mind and dealing with this. I'm sure I'm not the only one that periodically I have moments where I'm like, Lord, how much more of this can we take? I know some people deal with it better than others. I like to think that for the most part, I'm dealing with it well. But, you know, pretty steadily, like 1 day a week, sometimes 2 days a week, when I actually, if I think about it too much, or even if you're not thinking about it, just all of a sudden that reality sets in, and then you're like, oh shit. And I've always been pretty good at keeping myself busy. The problem is that like these days, a lot of the stuff that I would ordinarily do, I can't fully do yet. So, you know, suddenly if you're used to going into Manhattan 5, 6, 7 days a week, and I'm lucky if I do it, been doing it like once a week, you know, I recognize that I need to start doing it more often just for my own mental state of mind, because the one thing that I have found with myself is through all of this, you know, I started off really strong. Like the first few months I was like, oh, you know, seize the opportunity to like, you know, reinvent yourself. And I was like exercising every day and eating right and all of that good stuff. But, you know, that's, I think, because in my mind, I thought, oh, in 3 months, everything's going to be back to normal. Well, it's 6 months and it's not. So what I have found for myself is there are moments where it's hard to get motivated. And I try not to beat myself up about it. And I especially see it when it comes to this YouTube channel. As I said this before, where I'm used to having like 4 weeks in the can. And just for my own level of comfort. But now what's been happening is like I'll shoot 4 videos and then I'm good for a month, but then like, you know, it's Tuesday and my videos premiere every Friday at 10 a.m. So this one that I'm doing now will appear this Friday, and that's like, that's not who I normally am. I mean, ordinarily, like I said, I'd have that comfort level of having that many weeks ahead of me, and but lately I've been doing it this way, and when all is said and done, I get it done. But there's been days where, like, you know, I knew like I was going to shoot them on Saturday, and then Saturday I was like, I'll shoot them tomorrow. And then Sunday came, and then Monday came, and then suddenly today I was like, no, you know what? Just like get up, shower, and set it up and do it. You know, and ordinarily I shoot like in the middle of the day, but today I was finally feeling motivated to do it. So that's why I'm shooting as early as I am. So I guess the whole point of that is I think it's normal to, you know, suddenly have moments where you're not handling it as well. And this is me being totally vulnerable here, but it's also, that translates into getting motivated to do stuff. You know, like I've been exercising at home, but I'm not doing it the way I initially was. Like, you know, those first few months, it was like 5, 6, 7 days a week. And I was like, you know, taking these courses on daily Om and doing my own thing. I mean, I still exercise, but not to the degree that I was, or with even the same enthusiasm behind it. So, like I said, for the most part, I'm fine, but then every now and then I'm not. So, but the only thing I could do is just keep pushing forward and make myself snap out of this shit and deal with it, because, what other choice do we have? And speaking of exercise, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. Gyms in New York City finally opened a few weeks ago. And from the get-go, I was of the school of thought that when they open, I want to wait like 2 weeks before I actually go. Well, it opened on a Wednesday, September 2nd. And then the first day that I went was the following Friday. And it was interesting because it was like, I do this whole like numbers game in my head. So because I knew, okay, well, I'll be comfortable in 2 weeks, but I ended up going after a week and 2 days, I was sort of like, oh. But I have to say that it was like, it was easy breezy. Now, the one thing that I will say, I go to Crunch and I have a Passport membership, so I can go to any Crunch in the nation. So here in New York City, I tend to go to the one either on like 59th and 2nd or 34th, or the one in, there's a couple in Chelsea that I go to. So I went to the one on 59th Street. Now, they are not doing like where you make a reservation, because a friend of mine who lives in Denver, his gym, you actually go on the app and make a reservation. Crunch, as much as they charge, they're like, bitch, just show up, and if you get in, you get in. But before I went that first day, which would have been like a week and a half ago Friday, I called the gym, and my friend answered the phone who works there, and I asked him, and he was like, girl, even though they only allow 30% capacity, which is about roughly like, I think he said like 160 people, he was like, at any given time, there's never more than like 20 people there. And sure enough, I went that Friday, and then I went again this past Friday, and in both cases, I went like around noonish, because, I was like going during the day to like not be there like too early in the morning or during rush hour, after work crowd. And there was only like, I was one of like maybe 15, 20 people. So, and that was kind of odd too. And everyone was good about like, they have the spray bottles and the paper towels, and you're supposed to wipe the equipment before you use it and when you're done with it. And, the handful of people that were there, you could see where everyone was adhering to those rules and being really good about it. But it kind of made me think. I'm like, wow, I wondered, like, why is it that suddenly the gyms are not crowded? And, I've narrowed it down to like 3 thoughts I have on that. I mean, one of them, I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe people are still away, because I know a lot of people like left town, and a lot of people, frankly, left New York. And then I think, the sad reality is, some people, I'm sure, aren't there because they're not around anymore because of the pandemic. Maybe they're not alive anymore. Who knows? And then I also thought, well, maybe people are just being cautious and not wanting to go there right away, which I understand that too, because I wanted to wait 2 weeks, whereas I know other friends that like the second it opened, they were there that first day. And I've never been that way anyway, really, with anything. I always like to let the masses go, let it simmer down, then I deal with it. And then the third thought that I had was, Crunch is not cheap. And it just so happens like the membership that I have, like I always pay for like a few years in advance, and it's more economical that way. You end up, last time I renewed my membership, I think I got like 2.5 years for like $2,500, but I just charged it and paid it off. But doing it that way, the breakdown was like, say, $60 a month. But, I guess not everyone wants to put that much on a credit card. So you could do a month to month, and it's more advantageous and more beneficial for these establishments to have you do every month, because they charge more. So usually, I think a monthly membership, if you pay a month at a time, it's like $80, $90. It's not cheap. So then I thought, well, I wonder if part of it has to do with the fact that, people are out of work. Maybe people have lost their jobs. And frankly, that's a big expense if you're doing it that way, and you have to worry about like real bills like rent, Con Ed, stuff like that. So I wonder if that's the sign of the times that, people can't afford it anymore. I know if I had to shell that out now, I'd be in that boat. I was fortunate that I had just renewed my membership in the fall, and they were good about, they closed March 17th, they reopened September 2nd, so they added those 5.5 months to my old expiration date. So I'm good till like November of like 2022. So I'm good for a while. But I thought about that too. But for me, it was also, I did another video on facing your fears, and slowly but surely I've been going back to doing things that I used to do all the time. And that day that I went to the gym, you're going to laugh, but I also went to Bed Bath & Beyond, and I was so excited. I love that store. And I hadn't been to that, so there's a big one on 61st and 1st, right by the gym, that I used to always go to. That was always my thing. Like, I'd go to the gym. If I needed anything from there, I got my 20% off coupon. So I did that day too. So just doing those two little things were like, okay, a bit of normalcy. And that like kind of helps, not kind of, it helps my mental state of mind. So I'm happy to report that. And then last but not least, the third topic that I wanted to touch on was the whole online content creation, OnlyFans, just for fans, etc. I did the original video months ago when I first started the venture, and then I just shot one that I posted a few weeks ago where I was saying, I don't know how much it's for me. And of the 8 platforms that I was on, I deleted my account on 4 of them. So I'm still on the 4 that I'm on. But even after, like right after I shot that video, it was interesting because then I realized that I was like, I just don't really give a shit about it. Look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and there's money to be made doing that line of work, but you have to be so interactive with it and constantly take pictures and, constantly be on social media and pushing it. And it just, I'm old school, plus I'm old. I mean, shit, I'm 55, but I've always been like an in-person kind of person. So this whole virtual world of, provocative content, as it were, I'd rather be provocative in person than, in front of a camera and like, trying to seduce someone, and hoping that they're going to buy your videos or unlock your pictures and make money that way. I just I'm glad that I did it, and right off the bat, I like dove into it and I took tons of pictures and I did like a dozen different videos. But I sort of like a couple of weeks ago, right after I shot that last video and posted it, then it occurred to me, wow, you know what? Even though I got rid of the 4 and I was still on the other 4, I'm still on them, but I just really have not been doing anything with it. Now, the interesting part about that is I've been on them for about 3 months. The first 2.5 months, I did okay. I mean, I wasn't trying to make an astronomical amount of money, but I did fine. And then all of a sudden, right when I was like, done with this, all of a sudden someone became my fan on OnlyFans and like started tipping me and unlocking pictures and videos. And in a matter of like a 3-day period, a couple of weeks ago, this man ended up giving me twice as much as I had made for the 2 months and 3 weeks I had been doing it all along, which I thought was rather ironic because I was like, oh, great. Just when I don't give a fuck, now suddenly this bitch is giving me all this money. So, and it was interesting too, because, he's married, like most men that deal with me have wives. This one, lived in like Missouri or something. And I don't even know if I ever got his name. But anyway, he explained to me, he was like, he's married, but he thinks he might be bisexual and like his wife knows about it. And, so after a few days of like giving me all this money, he said to me that was like a Tuesday, actually it was like a Tuesday through Friday. So over the course of 4 days. And then that Friday, he said, I'm going to be gone all weekend because I got to spend the weekend with the wife. And he was like, I'm really enjoying this. Let's see how long I could keep this up before she gets jealous because she knew that he was doing this, or before she says I can't spend any more money. So I'm thinking to myself, well, shit. If I was your wife, I wouldn't have let you spend a penny on me. This bitch spends a lot. So it was interesting too, because then that weekend, I was like, oh, thank God that like he's like with the wife, because I quite frankly, I had run out of videos and I was like, oh, I don't have anything new to send him. And at that point I was so like done with it that I was like, I'm not even motivated. There's that word again. Wasn't even motivated, or did I give a shit to even shoot any more videos? So then I remember I was speaking to my best friend, Brent, hey girl, hi whore, who lives in LA. And I was telling him, and I said, could you believe this bitch gave me all this money? And I'm like, girl, but I'm like kind of over this shit. And now my dilemma, or not the dilemma, but I was sort of hit my own impasse where I'm like, okay, he's going to come back Monday and he's going to want me to send him more content. And I don't have anything else to send him. So then I thought that weekend, oh, I should shoot more pictures and shoot more videos. But I was like, I don't really want to. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to do this because of this person. And I said to my friend, the fact that he said that the wife told him what she said, I think what would be ideal would be if suddenly the wife says, you can't do this anymore. You've spent enough money on this hoe and get afuera. And lo and behold, come Monday, then I wasn't even on all weekend because I was like, I can't be bothered. Monday I happened to go on, and then I looked at my messages, and if someone is an active fan, their name is highlighted, and the name is in bold black letters. But then if they suddenly are no longer a fan, then their name is like a light gray color. And lo and behold, he was no longer a fan. His name was a light color, and I was like, oh, thank God. And then when I looked at my statement where it breaks it down, like every single dollar amount that he's given you, tipped you for this picture or unlock this video, now all of the entries, which were a lot from him, where it's all said, tip from deleted user. And I was like, oh, thank you, God. Because I was like, okay, that was a sign that I needed, where I even had said to my friend, oh, let this bitch go away and let me be done with this. That's exactly what happened. And then what really solidified it was that Tuesday, I was on the phone, totally not paying attention to my computer, and a regular that I have on Skype private, who contacts me probably like twice a month, like every other week, he had contacted me, but I didn't even see his message till like an hour later. And by then he was like, oh, I got to hang up in a minute. I'll catch you the next time. And that's money too. But I remember thinking to myself, oh, thank God. Like that was like the other sign that I needed to know that, okay, I kind of just like need to step away from that. So those 4 platforms that I'm on, they are still up there. OnlyFans, Just for Fans is my guy, and Skype Private. I'm just not really putting any focus onto it. So the interesting part with that was, I mentioned this before, where I felt like I got so bogged down with that than what was really important to me, which is this YouTube channel, and then also my massage clients, which I started seeing again not too long ago. I suddenly kind of felt like I wasn't putting the intention on these 2 things that have always been important to me. And I have always said, that spiritual metaphysical part of me says that if you want something to work for you, you have to have the intention there and the focus. So the fact that I wasn't, not that I haven't been focused, but my main interest has been this online work. I kind of feel like that has taken away from what really matters to me, which is you guys. And then, of course, my actual in-person clients. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So, I guess this is an overall life update. Face your fears, do new things, try to feel normal, as much as you can. Take care of your mental health. If you have moments where you're not as motivated, that's okay. We're all only human. So, allow yourself that luxury of kind of checking out for a minute. So long as you check back in, don't check out and then stay checked out and then suddenly you ain't doing shit. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and indulging and letting me be here with you. As always, looking forward to the next time. Love you. Bye.